Yeah, it was what I said to Chantal at that time when she said that to me. I looked back at her and I said, funny you would tell that story to me. And the reason my response was that, and it's not a first-hand account, but many of you were here the Sunday my dad spoke at our induction service, and he talked about my grandmother that he was going to see. She is coming up to 1 year in the hospital from her stroke last year. When he was a teenager, about 19 years old, my grandmother was very, very sick with colitis and was basically dying, was weeks away from dying from colitis. About 70 pounds, it had taken over her whole body. My grandfather and my dad, one Friday night, took her to a healing meeting. I can't remember who the pastor was, or the evangelist was, but she was prayed for. They brought her home. There's no change. That was the Friday night. She was in bed on Saturday. She could not walk. Her feet were this big, apparently swollen. She could not walk. She could not do anything. And she would come in and out of consciousness, pass out, terrible things. She had a dream or a vision. And what it was is she was laying in her bed and this man came in that she says was beautiful and very kind. And he came in and he said, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to fix you. Immediately after, this man that was had no appearance of kindness on him, was very upset her, was rough, was aggravating, came in. He said, don't believe him. Don't believe, I'm going to do it. Let me do it. Don't believe him. Whatever happened, there was an exchange that she could not hear between these two men that she thought they were doctors in her dream. And they had the kind man, who we believe from her story was Jesus, said, let her make the decision. And she looked and she said, as Chantal said in her dream, I'm going to choose him. I want him to fix me. And that was the end of her dream. That was a Saturday. The next Sunday was Sunday. And the Sunday night, she used to have people carry her over to the church, the board members. My grandfather was a pastor. They used to carry her over and sit her in the seat, and they would carry her to the prayer room after. And that was the night that God healed her, and she danced on feet. They say for 2 hours that she hadn't walked on in months. So Chantal's story, to me, was incredible because why me? Why that day that it was me that happened to be standing there? Someone who she was kind of asking for validation about this dream she'd had. And that I would be the one standing there with something so similar. And she described to me what she felt this woman was like an angel. She just said the other night, she was beautiful. She didn't tell her she was an angel, but she was so beautiful. She radiated that she was like an angel. And we looked at that and couldn't believe that, that she would tell me, of all people, that story. So the story's not over, because we got great news this week. Terry and I were just about to go out to church Wednesday night, and his phone rang, and it was Chantal. I didn't hear the exchange. I just heard him saying something to her that I thought sounded great. And then he said, oh, she's right here. I'll get her for you. And what did you tell us, Chantal?
That I got a call saying that, from my doctor, saying that they got the pathology back and there's no evidence of any Hodgkin's cancer. So, oh, wow.
So if that's not fantastic news, I don't know what fantastic news you need this week, but that's like winning the lottery. I think that's great news.
And I just want to say, like there's two things that to me, like through my journey, that I perceive to be miracles. And you know, the first thing is the fact that they said right before I had this last surgery. They did a CAT scan, and so they saw the major mass that I had in my groin, and then there were also they still picked up. There was a couple of clusters of little tumors, and they wanted to remove everything that they could, obviously, and they were worried about these little tumors that were all over the place because The doctor thought it would be really difficult to remove, and that it could cause some complications and, some what they call lymphedema. And anyways, the surgery ended up going a lot longer than expected, but not because of the clusters of tumors, because when my surgeon came to speak to me, she told me that when she opened me up, she couldn't find those tumors. She said, I don't know where they were, what happened. She's like, they're not there. And she was looking for them and she couldn't find them. And she's like this world-renowned surgeon. Like, she's very thorough, and they weren't there. So, like, praise God. And the second thing, the doctor called me, and he was so excited to tell me that, there's no evidence of the Hodgkin's. And I started thinking, because, he was so sure, because for the first PET scan that I did to the second PET scan, there was no change in the results. And I really believe that that's God's, he healed me, and that's the only explanation for it. And that's right. I just want to thank everybody, because I felt so overwhelmed with the love and, the prayers. And so thank you, guys.
So we're praying for Chantal's continued health. She's returning to university in January, and that's great news too. So Lord, we're just thankful for great news, great, fantastic, fabulous news that of Chantal's surgery and how you brought her through a really, really dark journey. God, that you've protected her and you've preserved her and you've been with her whole entire family. And I just ask that you would continue to bring blessing into her life as she goes back to school in January. God, that you would just make that transition smooth with housing, with her courses, and that you would give her so much strength and good health, not even a flu this winter, God, that you would just protect her and preserve her and just help her as she enters this next phase of her life, and just help her to feel your peace with her, that you are going with her everywhere she goes. Amen.